What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bilbrons and Dragons. I'm your host, Bilbron DaoLockStone. So today we're having another battle report for my Molebron DaoLockStone build, which I've been playing on a Westmarch server called the Forged Concordance, and I highly recommend it. I'm having a ton of fun there. So all of the relevant information will be in the video description below. You can check it out and we can adventure together. So today's adventure was called A Hare-Owing Reality, with emphasis on the hair. It's a little bit of a pun. And it was run by DM Cordial, who did a fantastic job. Not only was she very mechanically sound, but she had a very well thought out philosophy of gaming and running games that she had written out, and I thought was quite fascinating. And she very heavily emphasized the role play. You all know that despite being an optimizing guru, I love role-playing, and she did a great job of role-playing herself and fostered an atmosphere where role-playing was to be had, because it was actually kind of an adventure that was part of like a larger event, so it wasn't one that she crafted herself. And so within the constraints of this larger structure that she had to follow, we had some great role play, which was aided and abetted by the party, who were all very strong role players. So I really had a lot of fun in this session, and I wanted to thank Cordial for providing it to me. So, as always, the story starts by Bilbron riding in from Biscala, stopping by in Haroon to catch up with Novus Deshout and the goings-on in Mydath because of my whole Genasi connection there. And then on to the Forged Concordance headquarters, rolling up to the job board and looking for a gig. And while it's often difficult to get gigs, and in real life it was actually pretty difficult to get this gig as well, but for the storytelling purposes, as soon as Bilbron rolled in, he was riding right by the job board and then had to do a double take because there was literally like an almost fully assembled silver team ready to go. And even though he was strangers to all of them, he rolled up and was like, "Hey, I got a silver badge too. Can I join?" And so Bilbron was graciously allowed to join the team, which was comprised of Sorab, who was a human eldritch knight with an adorable bunny familiar, who apparently died all the time. So, it's kind of like Kenny from South Park. Then there was Rot, who was a Warforged artificer, who had a homunculus that looked like, or whose partner, because battlesmiths get the pet, was like a giant steel dog, which is very cool. There was Vesh, who was a Kalashtar divine soul sorcerer / order cleric, and then there was Ruan, human alchemist, who had a homunculus, which was also very clever. It's like a cup with like a gem in it, and then like this blob. It was like an ooze kind of homunculus, which is pretty clever, right? I hadn't really thought of that, but perfect for an alchemist, right? So yeah, we were ready to head out, and we actually had to leave right away because, very unusually, the client was actually on the site. I mean, usually this is all like notes on the job board, and then we meet the client later, if ever. And yet he was right here. And so his name was Cadbury, and he was a Harengon, one of the new races that was recently introduced. And so I guess I should probably talk a little bit about the whole event that this is part of, because the Forged Concordance doesn't just say, "Hey, a new book is out, let's just throw the rules in there," right? These new races are being introduced organically in a storytelling fashion, which I think is awesome. And so kudos to, I think it's Moku and Clarm, who are responsible for the event. Please forgive me for if I get that wrong. I'm not really clued in. But we're bringing the Harengon into the Forged Concordance. And apparently things got off to a super bad start. Like in their introductory mission, I guess one of our guys went murder hobo and killed one of like the important NPCs, the grandfather of Cedar Rose, I believe, is the like main person there. Oh God, I can't really tell the whole storyline here. But okay, yes, a corporate NPC got killed, and obviously that got things off onto a very bad footing with this new Harengon race, and so we're going to have to do a lot of damage control to try and salvage this and bring the Harengon into a playable race for the Forged Concordance. And Cadbury had been apparently involved in the previous adventures. In fact, I found out later he got the kill shot on like the big bad, the guy who was enslaving his people. So like a real hero. And he and Bilbron actually vibed a lot. It's Cad and Billy between those two. But anyway, yeah, he had us hurry along to their village or town or whatever, which was like a 4-day journey away in the Hasabi Desert. And so, yeah, we all got a chance to talk and know each other and explain what we do and how we fight and exchange war stories and stuff, and get to know Cadbury, who explained that he needed to hire us because their village or town was getting attacked by some enemy that they couldn't handle alone with their militia. And he was super reluctant to hire us, obviously, because, we're the assholes that killed, this super important NPC of theirs. But desperation makes strange bedfellows, right? So, he came and, offered us the opportunity to go help out the Harengon. And so when we arrived, man, imagine being greeted as heroes. Oh no, remember like Cersei in Game of Thrones? Where she's walking naked down the town and everyone's just harassing the crap out of her. Yeah, it was basically that. And yeah, rotten fruit and unknown substances were thrown, insults and accusations were thrown, and it was a little disheartening. But hey, we're professionals and we knew what to expect, so we maintained our composure. We were, we're all trying to be diplomatic here. Even Bilbron, remember, he's lawful evil. He is not like chaotic evil. He likes law. Well, law is good. Let's have relations. Everybody benefit. You get in my way, it's going to happen to you. But as long as you do good with me, I'll do good with you, bro. So yeah. Anyway, we're going through town, getting treated pretty badly. But then Bilbron almost got hit by a stray arrow, and I was like, wait a minute, this is a little more serious. And so he started scoping out where the arrow had come from, and it seemed like there was some fighting going on in that quarter. So immediately, of course, Bilbron is game face on, ready to pop his lava cloak, let's engage and kick some butt. But Cadbury's like, no, you can't. I've still got to take you to our leader, the Sultan, Cedar Rose, who has to give you permission. And Bilbron's like, you're the boss. Lawful evil. But man, I hate politicking in the middle of in the heat of battle. But anyway, yeah. So we hurriedly made our way to the town center, or wherever it was that Cedar Rose was headquartered. It was actually more kind of like to the north part of town. And yeah, we quickly made introductions, and then we were like, so can we go? And she was like, yeah, I guess, fine, go ahead, because it was her grandfather that we killed, apparently. So this must be tough for her, but leaders got to make tough calls, man. And so I'm sure she's getting a lesson in that. It was hard for us to tell, though, because she was like in a mask and robed, and I couldn't see jack. Anyway, yeah, so off to battle we went. And of course, we had a chance to prep a little bit. So, I threw up a Conjure Air Elemental to lead the way, and popped my elemental gift. And the team prepared. Ruan pulled out all of his funky little alchemist stuff, and everybody cast their spells, and we entered battle, fully prepared. And we found ourselves in a courtyard that was like surrounded with buildings, and in the center was a giant fountain, and there were dead Harengon strewn about, and some that were kind of standing there like enthralled and like not running like any sane person would. Because there was some kind of creature messing things up, which we couldn't see actually because it was inside of the building. But we saw where it was because just as we arrived, it like freaking threw a Harengon through the wall. And we were like, that's probably the bad guy. And so, like, I literally rolled a 1 on initiative, so I'm basically like watching most of this unfold. But my air elemental did roll good initiative, so he basically was able to just kind of blast in on the scene right away, throw down a whirlwind, and we were engaged. And the enemy turned out to be what looked to me like a eldritch knight or something. Black armor, like oozing with magma and fire. I think it was called a Doom Guard. I found out later. And it was riding like a nightmare, right? So pretty formidable, but my air elemental managed to separate them. It didn't last too long, but it occupied the full attention and attack sequences of those creatures for like 2 rounds before it got killed. Didn't really do any damage, but that allowed everybody else to really pile on, and we managed to win that battle fairly easily. Nobody really got hurt or anything. Always good tactics to throw the disposable summon up front to occupy the attention while everyone else blasts it down safely with range attacks. That's a time-honored tactic that I kind of wish I saw more of in this game. So unusually, after we killed these creatures, they disappeared into a cloud of dust, and then a storybook fell to the ground. And this is where things got a little unfortunate, because Bilbron has a fairly high passive perception at this point, because he has skill expert in it. And he was the only one that noticed the book fall down into the ground. So he had taken this really safe position on a rooftop, like between some barrels and stuff, so had total cover and was just popping in and out with his fly speed every round. But after this battle, I was the only one that noticed the book, so I kind of flew down to be like, hey, what is this? And shake the dust off. Like, it's like a story book, and it's like about this night thing. Okay, I guess these are like some kind of weird summons or constructs or whatever. But while we're figuring all this out, I'm like completely exposed and hanging out there for this giant blobby ooze thing that popped out of the fountain. I mean, it was huge. And like a bunch of the little ones popped out as well. And they got a surprise round. And then Bilbron got engulfed by this stupid little blobby thing. And so couldn't breathe and was restrained and was taking a ton of necrotic damage. So yeah, not fun. And rolled a bad initiative again. But in any case, the battle was on. And we were able to handle it. I mean, Bilbron just thunderstepped up into the air and, did his evil thing. And the team is strong. We managed to win. And just, a few resources and hit points were taken up. But I'd used both my spell slots. And so I was ready for a short rest. But I didn't get one because I had flown really high up. And then from that vantage point, I could see, oh crap, there's fighting on another quarter town near like what looked to be kind of a castle sort of thing. Like towers and all that. So we were like, Cadbury, dude, can we engage? And, he finally gave the word after a bit of hesitation. And so we rushed over there. Didn't even take a short rest. So I used my Rod of the Packkeeper to get at least one slot back, right? But I decided not to throw a summon out there because if I only have one slot, I feel like I should reserve that for an ultimate defense. And, a summon is great, but I have a party with me, and they can do their thing too. They don't necessarily need my summons to carry them or whatever. So yeah, we engaged and quickly found ourselves at this castle tower thing, and there were all these like spinning wheels strewn about, that you would sew on, and they had like these glistening green needles. And they seemed to be enthralling these like Harengon that were nearby to them. And so Bilbron destroyed one, and that like freed the Harengon from its charm, and it like ran away. But it like reformed right away. And we could also hear through this giant archway leading into the castle, this shrill voice screeching out, "Where's Sleeping Beauty? I must find her and prevent her from ever loving again." So yeah, you get that story, right? And so we kind of came across the entrance, and right away this witch saw us and was like, that was it, battle was on. And yeah, she was pretty tough. Think Maleficent, but like large size. and very flirty, but in a very over, just coming on a little too strong sort of way. And yeah, she opened up with like this kind of area effect spell that was like a fireball but did like slashing damage, which hit Bilbron because I wasn't perfectly placed, and she just managed to get me in the area of effect. And then she teleported out there because she had legendary actions, one of which was a teleport, and she could fly. So she teleported out there, and then Bilbron was like flying up there, but he's evil, she's evil, their eyes met, boy, girl, right? You get that. So she felt compelled to come flirt with me a little bit in the form of slashing the crap out of me with her claws. And I was just watching my hit points melt away because it was like, oh, as her legendary action, she smacks Bilbron again. And oh yeah, another legendary action, smacks Bilbron again. Oh, and then her action before Bilbron, she smacks him a couple of times. And I'm like, girl, back down. Give me a break, man. I can't kiss if I'm dead. Yeah. So when my turn rolled around, I had like 14 hit points left, and I was like, ultimate defense time. And I fortunately was like right near the next to the wall, and was able to throw down a stone shape, version 3, which is pretty much impregnable. So she was like, darn you, Bilbron, and she turned her eyes to the rest of the party. Basically, I didn't even do any damage from then. I was like non-offense because I was trying to get to the heart of this mystery of like who was creating these things and why they were sending them and where we could find them, kill them, and put an end to this. So I used my helmet of empathy, and it took me around to get my hooks into her because I first have to cast it and then target her and get her surface thoughts. And then in the next round and further rounds thereafter, I can just mind probe. And then once I get that mind probe, I know everything. But it didn't work because I only had 2 rounds, and I only got 1 mind probe attempt off, which was unsuccessful, because the other guys, Vesh, twin cast polymorph onto 2 of the other guys into giant apes. So it was just like their very first hit was like a critical, a boulder hit for like 57 damage or 58 damage or something crazy. And then she couldn't quite get away from it because they have that crazy 40-foot climb speed and 40-foot move speed. And they do just like crazy damage, and they were rolling very well. So yeah, they basically smashed the crap out of her, and she only lasted 2 rounds, and I wasn't able to get any intel. Yeah, and then she disappeared into a cloud of dust, and a storybook fell down, Sleeping Beauty, obviously. And yeah, that was it. And that seemed to be the end of hostilities. And Cadbury was super impressed and happy with our performance. I thought we did pretty well. I mean, it's pretty tough when you're racing from battle to battle and, no short rest. I mean, I had 3 spells for 3 battles combined, so wasn't at my peak effectiveness. And thankfully the party was there to carry me, especially in that last battle in which I did very little damage. And my contribution was, getting slashed up and, giving the other guys a chance to get their offense off without also being slashed up. So that was... Well, that wasn't quite it. We went back to, meet with Cedar Rose again, and the goody-goodies of the party still had a lot of juice left in terms of healing abilities. So they were, begging for a chance. Well, not begging. I was actually the one who was like, hey, could you be sensible and let our boys help? And Cedar Rose allowed them 30 minutes to go to the infirmary and cast, all of their healing spells and stuff, which, obviously was helpful. And even though they hated us still, we're trying to mend relations. Like, Bilbron was shouting stuff throughout, like, the first battle, like, oh, you must not attack these noble Harengon. They are under the protection of the Forged Concordance, hoping to build a few bridges. And so, yeah, the party was building more bridges with all of these healing attempts, and hopefully, we can win Cedar Rose and the Harengon over to allies, and then we can play them in the Forged Concordance. So yeah, that's it. Thanks so much to Cordial for providing me the very cool adventure. Thanks so much to the team for helping me get through it and helping me have a great time through all of the great roleplay. And thank you so much for watching. This has been Bilbrons and Dragons. I'm your host, Bilbron DaoLockStone. See you next time.